Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. $31 million was the only money that was ever funded, which he got. So then the other 55 or 60 people in the deal all came to the Ritz-Carlton at the penthouse and with their hand out like this. And his call I took, and I said, tell them to fuck off, all of them. Piss on their faces from your penthouse. And he was the only one to make any money. But the deal got funded 3.9, and the 3.9 billion is gone.
Who's responsible for that?
Well, no, they don't. It's still missing. It's under investigation.
The deal was never done.
No. They didn't build one solar panel that I'm aware of.
So it's a fuck-up story.
Pardon?
It's a fuck-up story.
No, it's not a fuck-up story. It's a deal that it got done. But when you're dealing in that part of the world, money disappears all the time.
Is he personally under investigation?
What? No, not him. But I mean, all the bankers, the Middle Eastern banks. Now, if you guys read the papers or listen to the news, Goldman Sachs is in a big scandal right now. Allegedly, Goldman Sachs partners took $900 million in fees outside the deal to get the deal done. $900 million over and above the cost of the deal. Happens all the time. All the time. When you're not where there's a rule of law. But it's those deals and once in a while they come true. But this is, as far as he's concerned, we got $31 million, so he's $31 million better than if he got nothing. But if he had gone along with conventional wisdom and waited for the fees, because normally the fees don't come off the top, the fees come later. But everybody thought that the deal was going to go through, otherwise they would have never released that money. If you think the money's all going to disappear, you don't give somebody $31 million. And of course, then he ran like a thief in the night. And my instructions, and I told him, and we had dinner with him a few months ago, as I told you. Now he's doing healthcare deals. They steal the billions. They don't steal the tens of millions. That's the bottom line. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but if I get this right, so he set up this entire situation.
Correct.
He's now better off than before financially.
No, it's $31 million worth.
Yeah, but he got money out of it.
Yeah, he's the only one that got money out of it.
Yeah, okay. And other people lost money, other institutions.
Well, no, they didn't lose. They didn't put up money. The bank's money, or the investors in the banks lost money.
Yeah, okay. But then he's under investigation, isn't he?
No, he's not in nothing. Nothing. But the bankers that signed the deals. You get a bank loan for $100 million, you probably pay $10 million in bribe money in Indonesia. In Italy, you don't have to go to Indonesia, as long as it starts with an I.
That's why I was worried,
Yeah. But now he's doing healthcare deals. He's building he's buying hospitals. But I mean, he's a guy up from Australia who moved to Kuala Lumpur. He now lives in Hong Kong. Singapore. Excuse me. He now lives in Singapore, and Singapore's got a rule of law. Hong Kong, as opposed to China, Hong Kong, had a rule of law until the riots. I don't know what about. I can't stand on a Bible or a Quran and say that there's a rule of law now in Hong Kong. But prior to what's been going on the last 6 or 8 months, there was a rule of law. You had recourse to go sue somebody in the Hong Kong court, and it was a lot better than a Beijing or a Shanghai court for sure. But I mean, he wanted to go out and do a big deal. If you're going to do a big deal, do it in one country. One country. Because some of the powers that be, the sheikhs, etc., they go in and out of favor. If you remember in Saudi Arabia about a year and a half ago, they arrested 75 princes and they put them in the Ritz-Carlton as a prison. Remember? Yes. But that happens all the time. It's more publicized in Saudi, but I mean it happens in other Middle Eastern countries. But we have the kids that are there doing the deals. But I mean, he was at the end, if I remember correctly, I said, you just got to go and get all the 12 signatures, sit in their office until they sign, and don't leave. And at 400 pounds, it's easier for him, I guess, to sit in an office, and not many people threaten to drag him out. But his vision of doing this energy deal with all these countries, and it would have changed a lot of lives, probably 1 billion lives. It would have increased the energy, lower the energy cost to the people that lived in those areas. One of the reasons why in these third, fourth world countries the energy costs so goddamn much is because the tack on of the bribes, we're producing it at 3 cents a kilowatt, and you're paying 40 cents a kilowatt. The difference between 3 and 40 is 37 cents of bribes. And if you want the electricity, some certain parts of the world, they only have electricity 4 hours a day or 5 days a week. And the rest is, graph. Now, it's interesting to note that the rulers of these countries have electricity 365 days a year. They seem to be able to manage it, so they have their energy base. But he had his board, and this is before I thought for sure he was going to do it in 60 days, less than 60 days, because he had lawyers, accountants, and his presentation skills. He's a good presenter. I mean, he was going to change 1.4 billion lives. I mean, I still remember. Another Moses or some shit, and people like to hear that. It's not that that's harder to sell, but when you do it in 7 different countries, that means you need 7 different political persuasions to agree. And I even think a guy in one of those countries got assassinated, and the guy that signed the papers, and it was just a circle jerk. But once he got into it, he wouldn't quit. And then the day we set up the call, he got $31 million, which is not the deal, but it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick after 3 years. But it's only $10 million a year. It's no big deal. I know that it sounds like I'm being cheeky, but I mean, that's how he looks at it. Give me $10 million a year for 3 years' work, which is no big deal.
Without adding any value for it.
Yes, correct. He had no other than himself.
But you knew that was going to happen.
I knew, but no, I'm going to tell you, and you're not going to listen. I already know what's going to happen with your deal. I already know. I know I told you already. Within the first standard deviation from the mean, plus or minus 5.5%. I know every single one of you what's going to happen. And some, I know 100% what's going to happen for a number of reasons. I've done everybody in this room. I've done your kind of deal before. When you've been in a couple thousand transactions from A to Z, there's not many things in fact, there's nothing you'll ever do that I haven't already done. That's number one. Number two, I know what your personality is. And you're the weak link. Even when you have a collective strong board that are all bombers, and they get in the room, even after you've done 25 deals, they're going to turn around and look, what do we need this brown, this black, this China, and that's how people think. And if you don't think that they don't think in racist terms, you're stupid. The world is a racist environment. They don't like people that don't look like them. And everybody that's got different colored skin in this room will agree with me. Whether you're Chinese, black, brown, purple. And when they realize you're the weak link, even if you have 60% of the company, but they will figure, the first red flag is when they tell you, we'd like a capital restructuring. We think we can get cheaper money, and that will drop you from 63% to 48%. Next! And that's how they start. And you will have forgotten, because you think you're smarter than me anyway. So you will have forgotten. You will have forgotten what I'm telling you right now. And then 5 or 10 years from now, and then when you see him as you land in Munich, and they got him to a cross, and they crucified him outside the airport, and and he's saying, "Yeah, I should have listened to Hairpin. I should have listened to Hair," because you forget. But it doesn't have to be that way. It hasn't happened to Marcus Bauer. But I mean, he's my little automaton. Not little, because he's a big guy, but automaton. But he has one book. One book. He didn't know who Tony Robbins was. He doesn't know who Ty Lopez is. He doesn't know who Jay Abraham is. He doesn't know who Brian Rose is. He doesn't know who Daniel. He doesn't know fuck all nothing. And his book looks like it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's been read so many times, the pages are disintegrating. So I gave him another one as a mercy fuck. And the reason why we don't give these away anymore is because then you go and sell them. I'm just going to pick on you because you're the youngest. 4 months from now, he decides QLA is not for him, so he sells it on eBay. For those of you that looked on eBay, the going rate used to be $9,000 for one of these. When you can get it on torrent for free. I don't understand that part. And then they fake my signature. They put a phony signature. It's supposed to be mine. Oh, with signature. In fact, here's another one we just pulled off eBay. They're selling my old book, Build Your Own Guthrie, with a picture of the castle, and the book's $300. And all the book is, what they've done is they've Xeroxed the pages. You didn't buy one. They Xerox the pages, and then and you get, this is a Xerox copy. It's not even really the cover of the old book. This is the old book. $300. So we don't give the fucking books away anymore. But the best thing on my site is my book, the audio version of the book. That's that has the most information and the most compact. Is the updated audio version from 2018, Kat, or 17? 2017 online. That's where you can get the most if you're going to just listen to me. And that's for the YouTubers too. It just downloaded. But I wanted you to hear, I'm happy he got money. I would have been happier if he did the deal. But save the world deals are hard. Save the world deals are hard. Any questions about Simon?
Is it a government contract or?
Oh, yeah, well, no, they were all government contracts, but not the government contracts like where you bid on something for the U.S. government or the UK government. These are the same kind of government contracts that are NEOM. The government is saying we're going to spend $2 billion on building this energy plant on such and such a province. And then they put it out to bid, normally. In this particular case, they didn't put it out to bid. Now, that's either good or bad. If they're not putting it out to bid, that means it's going to get done, in theory. If they put it out to bid, that means normally the person that's going to bribe the most gets the contract. But to the best of my knowledge, there was no bidding process on this. So there was a higher probability it was really going to get done. But it worked out just the opposite. Just the opposite. Yes, sir.
He mentioned local partners.
Pardon?
He mentioned local partners.
No. Local partner. Every country, to do a joint venture with the government, you have a local JV partner, joint venture partner. And the guys that he picked, half of them were okay, but half of them weren't. And so the local partner, that was in the biggest province didn't do what he was supposed to do. But most of the government business, well, even on NEOM, you need a Saudi partner. And because the foreign country knows that you need a partner, they may or may not treat you correctly. Yes, sir.
Mr. Peña talks about the dealing with high-performance professionals from accounting and law.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah. So can you set the parameters for the engagement early on?
Well, yeah, but okay. So first of all, you're trying to convince them to give you delayed fees. Now, if you tell them that you want them to work 365 days a year and not take vacations, and I want delayed fees, guess what the answer is going to be? So it's kind of a two-edged sword. You want to suck them into the delayed fees, but then you want them to work like dogs and drop dead doing your project. and that's difficult. But he went to a lot of professionals in the big four accounting firms. He went to a lot of professionals with a law firm. He did make some changes on the board, but it's tough when you've got a joint venture with, let's say, Indonesia, and you've got the former Minister of Energy as your joint venture. I see the hand. Put it down. The ex-Minister of Energy as your joint venture partner because he's now got a solar company. It's tough to get rid of him when he doesn't perform. It's not impossible, but it's tough to get rid of him when he doesn't perform. Who are you going to replace him with? And all these guys know they're tough to be replaced, so they don't acquiesce. They play hardball. And Simon was a bull in a china shop. He didn't give a shit, but it still finally got funded. And the reason the deal collapsed isn't because the deal wasn't a terrific deal. It collapsed of its own weight because the more money that was put in the various bank accounts, the more lucrative it is for somebody to take it. And if you take money in a country with no rule of law, and you're from the royal family, guess what? Nothing happens to you. So that's why I tell you you can do big deals, but there's a high probability they don't come to fruition for whatever reason. Either somebody steals all the money, or not all the money, most of the money, and you've got 2 or 3 years involved in the deal. But if let's say if he was doing this deal in Canada, it would have happened. If he was doing this deal in Germany, it would have happened. If he did this deal in the Netherlands, it would have happened. It wouldn't have been 3.9 billion. It might have been 1 billion 4, but it would have happened. Italy, it might have nada. It depends. It depends if we had a great grandson, bastard grandson of a pope here come to the seminar in 1996. 1996, I talk just like you. And he says, Mr. Peña, you've got a nice little place here. A nice little place here, he told me. And he lived in a palace about 100 kilometers outside Rome. It had 105 bedrooms. The church owns it, Vatican. 105 bedrooms. And you got a nice little place here. And I said, thank you very much. And you don't have to call me Prince. He's a prince. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing I don't have to call you because I'm not calling you Prince. A little shit, yeah. And but he was a good guy. But he said, I already knew, but he said, most of the stories about the Vatican and Vatican are true. And he says, and I said, well, and we traded some stories from my experience, and but his claim to fame is he's the great bastard grandson of Pope, whatever it was then. But I mean, he never has to work. He's treated like royalty. I mean, I can just, when I put $50 in the basket at the church next time, I wonder how much of this is going to that asshole kid, But everybody in Italy knows that shit. I mean, it's no big surprise. No, it's just the way it is. But just imagine if it wasn't all that, Remember, Italy are the Romans. Something happened, I know, over a couple thousand years, but they were one of the great society. Okay. Anything? Yes, sir.
What was the financial repercussions for his reputation because of the deal?
No, but his reputation. PwC didn't blame him. PwC was mad that they didn't give him part of the $31 million. They didn't blame him. He wasn't. It was a delayed fee deal.
And at the bank side also?
Well, everybody ran. A few people got fired. A couple of people disappeared. Yeah, just like a South African deal.
Okay.
I mean...
we just need to on the side of the road. You don't...
No, it happens other places. It's not just in South Africa. But it was his first deal, and so that's... Now, it didn't put him off. Now, if he hadn't got that $31 million at the end, I don't know. I don't know that part, but he's a pretty strong personality kid. But he's a good guy. And he's bounced back and he's done 2 or 3 deals in the last 2.5 years, and he now lives in the penthouse of. They've got a Ritz-Carlton in Singapore, don't they? Okay, well, he lives in a penthouse in another big hotel, but he was living like that before he came to QLA. He's always made a lot of money and he spends it. He's now married, which I just was stunned when I heard that. But he's always had 2 chefs, butlers, and chef. That's he lives like King Farouk, and he used to be as big. Well, he's still a big guy, but King Farouk, and he likes now in his particular case not luxurious lifestyle, lavish lifestyle. And there are guys. Depends what you want to do with your money. But his lifestyle is expensive. Okay, YouTube, thank you.